Hey everyone, John and Tiffany here from the Moore's Global Finance Podcast team, back with us for another deep dive. And today we're looking into something, well, a little different than our usual stock and bond talk. We're going to be diving into this company, BlueVault.
Yeah, right here in San Diego.
Exactly, local.
Local company.
Yep.
And, I think this will be right up your alley, given your interest in keeping your assets safe.
Yeah, I mean, peace of mind, right?
Right.
Like knowing that your valuables are really secure.
Exactly. That's the whole idea behind Blue Vault, and it goes way beyond like your typical safe deposit box setup. I mean, we're talking about a 90-ton bunker. Plus, they've got this whole thing where you can buy gold and silver right there on site.
That's convenient for sure. But doesn't that raise some eyebrows about the security side of things?
It does, and that's what we're going to be looking at today.
Okay, so imagine this. You've got some precious metals or important documents, maybe family heirlooms, things you really want to keep safe. What's the first thing you need to know about BlueVault?
Well, they're not just storage. They try to be like a one-stop shop for all things precious metals. You can buy, sell, set up a gold IRA, all in one place. They were founded in 2012 here in California, licensed and all. It seems like they're going after a particular type of investor.
Got it. So the all-in-one approach.
Yeah,
But break it down for us. What exactly are the services they offer?
sure. So they have the classic safe deposit boxes, different sizes, good for smaller items. Then you've got these large vault units where you get to lock it up and keep the key. That's for the big stuff. And then there's vault custody where they handle moving and storing your things. Pretty high end.
Okay, standard storage options, but with a fancy touch. But here's where it gets interesting. They have this whole section dedicated to precious metals. Buying gold and silver coins and bars right there.
Yeah.
They even claim to offer local prices.
Yeah, that's something to watch out for. How do their prices compare to the market? Easy to get caught up in the convenience and maybe overpay.
For sure. And then there's this gold and silver IRA option. I've never actually heard of that before.
That's right. It's not common. It's their way of letting you diversify your retirement portfolio and get into tangible assets.
Hold on. So you can actually hold the physical gold and silver in your IRA.
That's what they're offering. Now, of course, with any storage facility, the big question is insurance. How much coverage do they offer? Who's the insurer? That's crucial, especially for someone like you who values security.
Absolutely. Insurance is what gives you that peace of mind.
So let's get into their security measures because they're making some bold claims.
Oh, yeah. They've got AXA Insurance, which is a big name, reputable. That's a good sign. But what exactly does it cover? What are the limits? You need to find that out. Make sure it lines up with what your assets are worth.
Okay, insurance is one layer.
Hmm.
They also talk about 204.5 monitoring by Siemens, a global leader in security. And get this, they've got Templar Titan on board for contingency response.
Templar Titan sounds pretty intense. I'd want to know more about them. Their background, expertise, are they ex-military? What kind of training do they have? And they use Brinks armored transport. Can't get much more secure than that. It's the gold standard. All right, you see that Brinks truck? They mean business. Plus, they're UL certified, meaning they meet industry standards. So it's not just hype.
No, they've checked all the boxes when it comes to security partnerships, really trying to project that image of being the most secure option.
So it sounds like they go above and beyond to keep things safe.
Yeah.
But what are the benefits of actually using BlueVault? Why choose them over, say, a regular bank vault?
Well, there's that one-stop IRA solution. If
Oh.
you're into gold or silver IRAs, they make it super easy. Open the account, buy the metal, store it all in one place. No need to deal with different companies, no worries about logistics.
That's convenient for sure, especially for someone new to that whole precious metals IRA thing.
Exactly. It can seem overwhelming, but they try to simplify it. And they offer a decent variety of investment options, too. American Eagles, Krugerrands, even those Swiss PMP bars, the popular stuff.
That's good to know, because you want to be able to sell it easily if you need to.
Right.
Right, liquidity is key.
Right. Exactly. You don't want to be stuck with some obscure coin no one wants. But here's what I think is really important. They stress segregated storage.
Meaning?
Your investments are kept separate, not mixed in with everyone else's. So there's no chance of things getting mixed up or lost. Adds an extra layer of security and peace of mind.
I see. So they're not just throwing everything into one big vault. They're tracking and managing each person's stuff individually.
Yeah.
And that base insurance of $5,000, I'm guessing you can increase that if you need to.
Yeah, you'd want to if you're storing high-value stuff.
Makes sense. And they let you visit and actually see your holdings in person. Not every place offers that kind of transparency.
It's interesting. They're kind of bridging the gap between wanting to own something tangible, but also needing things to be convenient and accessible.
Yeah, I see that. They also cater to different IRA types. traditional, Roth, simple, SEP. They've got you covered.
So they're trying to appeal to a lot of different investors with different needs and no transaction fees plus price matching. That's competitive in an industry where fees can really add up.
Definitely shows they're paying attention to the details. And for those who are new to precious metals, they've got these dedicated IRA specialists to help you out. So you're not just dealing with a faceless company.
That's a good point. Adds a human touch, which can be helpful if you're not familiar with alternative investments.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of show. Basic storage, gold IRAs, security, insurance. I'm starting to get why they call it BlueVault. It
Wow.
really is like a fortress for your valuables.
It is, but let's dig into those safety measures even more because that's what really sets them apart. So they brag about 247 video surveillance, but it's not just cameras. They're talking about 11 layers, 11 interlocking layers of security. What does that even mean? That's a good question to ask them.
11 layers.
Yeah.
I'm picturing lasers, motion sensors, maybe some AI watching everything.
It sounds super high tech, but technology can fail. What are the backup systems? What if the power goes out? These are the questions you need answers to.
Right, good point. Okay, so we've got the tech side, but then they also talk about individual access codes and biometric screening. Like, that sounds futuristic.
Straight out of a spy movie. No keys to lose, no codes to forget. It's your biometrics, your body that gets you in. But that raises questions, too, about privacy. How's that data stored? Who can see it? Things to think about. And, of course, fire and disaster protection. They say they've got this non-liquid suppression system, which, I've got to say, is intriguing.
Non-liquid suppression. What even IS that? Some kind of new technology. I've never heard of it.
Me neither. Sounds advanced, though. But again, it's all in the details. What does it actually protect against? What are its limits? Things you want to be clear on.
Transparency is key, right? Got to know what you're paying for. And speaking of bold claims, they boast about a zero-loss record, which, okay, that's a powerful statement. But is it true? How long have they been operating? What are the standards for these kinds of claims?
Yeah, you got to look beyond the marketing. Dig into the data. What are their audit procedures? Do they have someone independent verifying their security? Those are things that can help you assess their claims. Real peace of mind comes from knowing, not just hoping.
Okay, so let's say you're convinced. They've ticked all the boxes. You're ready to go. What's the actual process of storing your valuables at BlueVault? Like, how does it work?
Well, first you got to sign up. They need a photo ID and a U.S. address. So if you're international, that might be a problem. Then you can either buy precious metals from them directly or you can ship your existing metals over.
So you've got some flexibility there. You're not forced to buy from them if you don't want to. But what about insurance during shipping? Is that covered?
That's a great question. You'd want to double check that before sending anything valuable. And once your stuff gets there, they say there's a $5,000 base insurance for each box. But can you increase that? How much does it cost? What are the limits? Important to find out, especially if you're storing a lot.
Right. That $5,000 might be enough for some, but not for everyone. And what about actually accessing your stuff? They have those private rooms, kind of like bank lockers, but how does the scheduling work? Do you need an appointment? What are their hours?
Practical stuff, right. You don't want to be limited in terms of when you can get to your things. And what about security inside those private rooms? Are there cameras in there? Is it monitored? How do they balance privacy and security?
So many questions. It really does show how important it is to do your homework before you trust anyone with your valuables. You got to understand their processes, ask the tough questions. It's your money on the line.
Exactly. Don't just rely on phone calls or emails. If you can, go see the facility yourself. Take a tour. See the security measures with your own eyes. It'll give you a much better feel for the place.
Okay, so let's talk money, shall we? Fees and pricing, because at the end of the day, that's what matters. How much does this peace of mind cost?
Right. You want value for your money. They do give a breakdown of their monthly costs. And it depends on the size, of course. They have sizes from tiny, like 2 inches by 5 inches, all the way up to huge, 72 inches by 48 inches.
So they're catering to both ends of the spectrum, small-time savers and big-time investors. But that base insurance, that $5,000, it probably costs more to bump that up, right?
Yeah.
Especially for those bigger units.
For sure. And there's a tax break for people living in California. If you spend $1,500 or more on precious metals, no sales tax. That's a nice incentive for larger buyers.
And they've got a discount for wire transfers over $25,000. Knock off $25. Seems like they're encouraging those bigger transactions.
Makes sense for their business, but it also highlights the need to know your needs and budget. Don't let discounts pressure you into spending more than you're comfortable with.
Now, this is where it gets a little interesting. They don't take credit cards or debit cards. Any idea why?
Yeah, that's unusual these days. They don't say why explicitly, but maybe it's a security thing, or maybe they want to avoid those processing fees. But it does limit your options.
So cash is an option. If they have the product, you get it right away. Or you can lock in the price with cash and pick up your metals later if they're out of stock. That's smart if the market's jumpy.
It is, protects you from price swings. They also take checks, but there's like 10 business days? Seems a little long.
Maybe it's just standard for precious metals. Or a security thing to prevent fraud. And of course, wire transfer, which they seem to prefer, especially for the big spenders. They even give you that $25 discount.
So, you see, BlueVault has a lot to offer. Services, security, even investment options. But is it right for you? That's the question we're trying to help you answer.
Yeah.
And to do that, we need to go a bit deeper. What's their reputation like? Are people happy with them? That's what we'll look at next.
Okay, so we've gone through a lot with BlueVault. All the services, their impressive security, the fees, even those unusual payment options. Yeah, but like with any investment, you want to make sure it's legit. What's their reputation like? Are they the real deal?
Right, you can have all the fancy stuff, but if it doesn't actually work, it's useless.
Exactly. We talked about those partnerships, AXA, Brinks, the California license being around since 2012. That has a certain level of credibility, right?
It does, for sure. Those aren't small names. Those companies have their own reputations to uphold. They wouldn't just team up with anyone. Plus, BlueVault seems pretty transparent. They're upfront about pricing, payment options, even why they don't take credit cards. That builds trust, not hiding anything.
Yeah, that open approach does make a difference. But what are people saying about BlueVault? Are their customers actually happy?
That's where things get a little tricky. The information we have doesn't really include customer reviews or testimonials. We'd need to do some digging online, maybe check those independent review sites to get a feel for what people are saying.
So we've got the basics, the foundation, but the human side is still missing. Like they built this awesome fortress, but we haven't talked to anyone living inside.
Exactly. We need to know how easy it is to work with them. How responsive is their support? Do they actually do what they say they'll do? Those are things you can only learn from people who've used them.
Trust but verify. Right.
Yeah.
The potential is there, but more research is needed before making a decision. So John and Tiffany, if you're serious about this, I definitely suggest checking out those online reviews, maybe even reaching out to BlueVault directly, asking some questions.
Absolutely. Don't be afraid to ask those tough questions. It's your peace of mind, your assets at stake. And here's something to think about. BlueVault seems to be targeting both everyday people and those high roller investors.
You're right. It's like they're trying to bridge those two worlds. They have the small boxes for grandma's jewelry, and then they're offering discounts on $25,000 wire transfers for the gold bugs.
Interesting approach. Makes you wonder if this is the future of secure storage. More and more people are losing trust in banks, so maybe this kind of hybrid model is what we'll see. A place where anyone can feel safe protecting their things, no matter how much they're worth.
Definitely a trend worth watching. Shows how adaptable BlueVault is. They're not limiting themselves to one specific group. They're trying to appeal to everyone.
And that flexibility could be what makes them successful in the long run. The world is changing quickly. Companies that can keep up, adapt to new needs, those are the ones that'll thrive.
Well said. So there you have it, John and Tiffany, our deep dives into BlueVault. We cover their services, security, fees, even their kind of mysterious reputation. We've given you the information, the knowledge, so you can make the best decision for yourselves.
Remember, peace of mind comes from understanding. So take what we've talked about today, do some extra research, see if BlueVault fits your needs.
And whether it's BlueVault or something else, the important thing is to be proactive about protecting your assets. Don't wait for something bad to happen. Take control of your financial security. NW.
That's right. Knowledge is power, but you gotta use it. So take action, do your research, and make the choices that are right for you.
We hope this deep dive has been helpful and insightful. As always, stay informed, stay vigilant, and keep on diving deep.